I have two questions. So the first
Mike,
one,
excuse me. We'll get the mic so we
ah,
can be picked up. Ah, okay. Okay.
hello. I have two questions. So the first one is, you and your wife were once supporters of the reproductive health bill.
Yeah.
So what
Oops,
made you
sorry.
what made you change your mind?
Okay. What happened with the reproductive health bill was that everybody got so embroiled in the debate as to whether or not it was a proper way of addressing a problem where we forgot about the problem already. The problem continues to fester unattended because merely the debate is centered as to whether or not government should substitute itself for our moral guardians in what is essentially a personal choice. Okay, and so we know that the RH bill will not pass. So what does fighting for something in there while the problem continues to fester do? What good will it do? Okay, but this is my mindset on that. Population management is a problem, not merely because of the limited resources which we have, but in the discussion earlier that is a principal point, the lack of risk-free areas or the risk-free areas where you can have habitable communities getting smaller. The Philippines, we must remember, it's an archipelago, and only some islands are not sustainable, and some are livable and the like. We don't have a finite quantity of terrestrial supply to supply a 92 million and growing population. Now, we get into trouble when, of course, the extreme influence of our moral guardians come into play. And there's a classic conflict between church and state here. With the result being that nothing happens because of the fact that a law was filed and all focus is on the law rather than the problem. So let us assume and let us agree, I accept that government is not the proper moral guardian of so deeply personal a question as to whether or not to have children, as to whether or not a family must be of this size, that size, or what method to use actually to control your family, to use contraception or whatnot. That is a moral choice to be made. Having said that government is not the right moral guardian, the debate should not stop there. We cannot just say we won. Government should not intervene and forget about it. Since our moral guardian state, it is a personal choice. They must be responsible now and accountable. The responsibility for a growing population cannot be left in a vacuum. And it must be clear that since government is not the moral guardian, moral guardians must be responsible and accountable. And if the growth rate continues unacceptably, despite the fact that accountability must be with our moral guardians, not merely to teach us, but for results, because there's a finite limit to how much the Philippines can support or how many people the Philippines can support, then the government must step in at some point if the experiment does not succeed. Now, having said that, too, the government's role must be to support any moral choice made by a couple freely made. Because morality in this country differs too. And I have experienced that firsthand in Mindanao with the different ethnic compositions of people there, different religions and the like. So that's the proper position, perhaps, of government. That it must actively support a choice, must not influence the choice, but it must support a choice. That's the only way, probably, that we will be able to deal with the problem. If not, we will be entangled in a debate which nobody wins.
Okay.